Welcome back to LDB Games. I'm Lord Darth Balls, and this is another Raid Shadow Legends video. And in this video, I'm going to go through how I beat the Dark Fae on floor 40 in the Hard Doom Tower. You can see the team here is relatively free to play. 3 epics, a rare, and even an uncommon champion. There are 2 core pieces of this kit that make this a winning team against the Dark Fae. That is damage and turn meter control. Let's get into it. So out of all the bosses in the Doom Tower, Dark Fae has probably one of the most unique kits. And on Rotation 3, she is the boss that I farm because she provides you materials to create lethal gear. Now, Savage Gear is known as the best gear set for a damage dealer in this game because it flat out ignores 25% of enemy defense. Lethal does the same exact thing, but it brings an extra 10% crit rate along with it, allowing you to pull more crit damage from your gear and get higher damage numbers in your stats. So before I go through the team, let's look at our kit real quick, because like I said, it's so unique, right? And I'm going to start with her passives, because alongside of these 3 standard Doom Tower passives that we see, right, reduced turn meter effect, reduced damage from enemy max HP skills, immune to any control debuffs or HP balancing stuff, she has this Fae mirror. And what this does is right when you get to her for the first time, she spawns a copy of your entire team. She basically dupes your team and you have to fight your own champions. Now, she has a counter as well, and when she reaches 5 on that counter, it respawns your whole team again. So there are a couple things to watch out, right? Bringing champions that have swift parry on them or passives putting unkillable on them, not allowing them to die, actually hurt your chances in this boss fight. She also puts a perfect veil on herself for 3 turns when the counter reaches 5. So she reduces damage to herself, makes herself untargetable, and then spawns your entire team for you to face up against. Now, she has a few AoEs. The A1 puts a leech on everybody. A2 steals a random buff based on the number of magic champions, steals turn meter based on the number of force champions, places a true fear, has a 25% chance of placing a true fear on each enemy for 1 turn, and that chance increases by 25% for each void champion on the team, and heals Astranyx by 10% of her max HP for each spirit champion on the team. So this is quite an interesting ability because what it forces you to try to do is to build diversity in your team as it relates to affinity, right? Astranyx is void, so you can essentially use whatever affinities you want on her. However, bringing too much of one champion tends to make this skill have a greater effect. As it stands, I have 1 void, 2 spirit, and 2 magic in this squad. So what that means is that she'll steal 2 random buffs. She won't steal any turn meter, which is huge, right? Because I need to stay ahead in this fight. She has a 25% chance of placing a true fear on each enemy, and it goes up to 50. So it is a 50-50 shot with 1 void champion. But Cold Heart just brings so much value to me, that's okay. And then heals by 10% based on 2 spirit champions. So that's a 20% heal. Now, with my strategy of keeping the turn meter down, that becomes irrelevant. Well, almost irrelevant. She also has an AoE here where all living allies will team up. So if she has just spawned your entire team, she's going to do a full team ally attack. And it increases by 25% for each living ally. Team of 5 makes a 125% increase in damage. So this can hit pretty hard. Now, the other really unique part of her kit is this Dark Abduction skill. And what she does is she banishes one of your champions, making them unusable for you, but unrevivable as well. They're sort of like ghosts of themselves. And she takes that champion on her team and then puts a true fear on everybody. So she takes one of your champions, controls your entire team, and then says, yeah, good luck, see what happens. So let's take a look at the champions, then I'll go through the AI and the strategy against the boss, and then a clip, I'll put a clip of the run at the end of the video so you can watch it in action. So the first champion to actually take their turn on my team, right? The fastest champion in my team is Deacon. And Deacon also comes in with an aura that I use to try to get the rest of my team even faster. Deacon has an A1 that hits twice with a chance of putting a leech on, which is really nice, giving me a chance to heal from the damage I do. The A3 fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%, and then grants an extra turn. This is an incredible ability. So he goes first to knock back my duplicate team so that they can't get their turns alongside of me, and then gets another turn and pushes mine up. And then his A2 is an AoE that puts decreased defense out. It's a 100% chance. So he's knocking back their turn meters, pushing mine up, and putting decreased defense on everybody. It's the perfect way to start this fight. When building Deacon, two things matter: speed and accuracy. And believe it or not, I actually want these champions to be kind of squishy because I want to be able to take them out quickly. So I have him built with, not really any effective HP at all, but he's got 250 speed and 358 accuracy, right? The accuracy needs to be good enough to put the decreased defense on my team as well as basically my team, right? It's because it's a copy of my team as well as the boss. Next up comes Allure. Now, most of Allure's kit is fairly unnecessary for this fight. Her A1 is her, legendary ability. It's a triple hitter. It is at random, but when you're facing bosses, it's always going to hit the boss. And it decreases the turn meter by 25% on each critical hit, which means if you build her with 100% crit, and she crits all 3 times, that's 75% turn meter reduction, which is huge. Her A2, which does get used once in the boss round, is an AoE, double hitter, chance of putting a decreased defense, and it puts a sleep on targets already under decreased defense. If you remember, Deacon puts up a decreased defense. This is just for a little extra control for the enemies that don't die from this hit, because it actually hits decently hard. And like I said, her A3 is only used in the waves running up to it. It has a 50% ignore targets defense, but it doesn't come into play here. When I go through the AI, you'll see. Notice I got really lucky with a 5-star blessing for Allure, and I have her running Cruelty, which means that every single time that she hits the boss, it reduces the boss's defense by 2%, right? And her A3, remember, does 3 hits, which means each A1 is 6% defense reduction. So 3 turns of her A1, and the boss has 15% of her damage reduced, defense reduced, which is really nice. In terms of stats, same principle as Deacon with one small change, right? She's running moderately fast. She's got enough accuracy to do the job, and then she's got 100% crit rate. And I did go, a little extra with her and give her some nice fat crit damage because, why not, right? She can hit relatively hard. Not super hard, but decently hard. So why not? The uncommon champion that I bring in is none other than Armiger, and Armiger has one of the best abilities in the game for an A1, and that is a flat-out 30% turn meter reduction with a crit. So, you build him with 100% crit. He's actually kind of slow. He could use for a little bit more speed and enough accuracy to do the job, and you call it a day. I bring in Cold Heart, right? Despite the effects that Void affinities have with the one of the AoEs that Dark Fae has, the reality is I try to keep the Dark Fae from taking as many turns as possible. I have her built in Savage and Cruel. I did a video on her recently showcasing the damage potential that she has. I'll pin to that up top. And she comes in for mainly for her A3, right? Damage is based on enemy max HP. Even with the reduction against the boss, it's a very nice big chunk of damage. She's got an extra 30% chance of a crit, and it has 100% turn meter reduction on it, which is super useful for keeping the boss from taking her turns. She also has an AoE that hits pretty hard and comes in and cleans up my team in the first round against the boss. Her A1 is a quad hitter with heal reduction, which can help, right, if Dark Fae ever does get a turn, right? I have 2 Spirit Champions, which is 20% heal. This will prevent that from healing Dark Fae up, which is nice. I got a Rockin' Phantom Touch for the extra damage bonus. And in terms of stats, she's rocking some nice crit damage here. 322, just enough accuracy to do the job. Actually, that may need to be higher for Dark Fae. I'll have to double check her resistance. And she's running decently slow, so she could use a few speed cliffs if I had them, right? And then the last champion is Royal Guard. Royal Guard comes in, yes, for his A2, which also does damage based on max HP, so this is a big hit. He also comes in for his A3. His A3 is a quad hitter. Each hit has books up to a 75% chance of placing decreased speed and decreasing the turn meter by 25%. Now, this is huge, right? You want decreased speed up on this boss, right, to slow her down. And then this is just another ability to help knock turn meter back, keeping my team ahead of her. Real quick, I'll go through everyone's masteries, and then we'll touch on the AI. Deacon, I have none. Allure, I got none. Armiger, I basically got none. Royal Guard, I have going down to, let's move myself out of the way. And just so you guys know, right, if I did do these masteries, it would make this run faster. As it stands, it's like a 2-3 minute run, and I'm not fussed because then I farm the higher stages when I get there. But I have Royal Guard going down to Flawless Execution. Extra crit damage just gives me more damage. Typical damage mastery tree here, as well as the extra accuracy for his decreased speed. The turn meter when he uses his A1, which is a nice extra little turn meter reduction, right? This is a huge ability against the bosses that you can use turn meter reduction for. And then I have Master Hexer to help extend any of the sleeps or the decreased defense that he puts out. And Cold Heart is very similar. The difference is I didn't seem to choose Charged Focus. If I redid it, I would probably switch that. Because the extra accuracy when she's got no skills on cooldown is nice, but the reality is if I'm using her A2, she's going to have her something on cooldown, so she's never really going to take advantage of that. So, let's get into the AI, and then I'll put a clip of the run at the end for you guys to see it in action. So for the AI, for Deacon, round 1, business as usual. Round 2, I don't want him using his A2 or his A3 at all, because by the time he gets to round 3, I want him to lead with time compression to decrease the enemy's turn meter, knocking them back, increase mine, pushing them forward, and putting decreased defense out on everybody to increase my damage. Allure, business as usual round 1. Round 2, I'm going to have her open with her A2 for some damage and control on the waves, because these waves can do quite a bit of damage. But then I don't want her using it, because I want her opening with it on the round against the boss to help me take out my team as quickly as possible. Armiger, round 1 and 2, business as usual. Round 3, I don't want him using his A2. This can hit pretty hard, but all I care about is the turn meter reduction from him. I bring in 2 other champions to do damage. I'd rather get more consistent turn meter knockback than more damage. Royal Guard, round 1, business as usual. Round 2, I don't want him using his A3 because I want him opening with this against the boss, right? This brings a decreased speed and turn meter reduction. I need to get decreased speed out as soon as possible because Dark Fae is fairly quick. And I want to knock back turn meter as much as possible. And then Cold Heart comes in, business as usual, round 1. Round 2, I don't want her using any of her abilities because she opens with her A2 on her natural AI setup and then throws Heartseeker out, knocking back the turn meter. So, that's what I got for you guys. This is, again, the best boss you can farm on this rotation because it is one of the best gear sets in the game. It's the best gear set right next to Savage for nukers. Hope this video helped. On your way out, don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe. I've been Lord Darth Balls. I'll catch you all in the next video. Enjoy your raid.